That's class.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And again, you just had a ball bearing in it which ran to a metal contact or didn't.
Right.
As you flailed around, it didn't work in the slightest, made a horrible noise, and one of them stopped working, I think, after using it for about 2 minutes. So that's... I mean, there's something people get, I think, to keep the kids quiet when they can't get hold of whatever.
But you can imagine the disappointment, you know, what are we for Christmas? And they get this thing, you know.
I don't know if that's ever happened to anyone. I really hope it hasn't, because that must be the worst Christmas ever.
Yeah.
Particularly if it's one of these nasty little handheld things that cost $2 and you can get 2 minutes of enjoyment from. Well, I say enjoyment, 2 minutes of trying to get it work
trying to get it
fails
working,
completely, yes.
Are any of these things dangerous? Because when you say sort of plug them in and you're plugging stuff into the mains, you know...
I've had fires, yes.
Have you had fires?
I have had fires, and that's my own fault to an extent.
Well, that's an exciting game, isn't it?
Yes. Put out the fire, brilliant. You lose points for every expensive item that gets
The Fireman
consumed.
Sam game. Start a fire in your own living room.
They often come with... well, what I presume are American power packs and some sort of adapter for it. And one of them did look a bit ropey once. It was for the one of the Wii rip-offs, in fact. I think it was the V, comes to think of it. And I plugged it in, it was working away merrily. Then you sort of smell burning plastic and then sort of see colours and lights you don't generally see around the living room. And let's unplug that quickly before everybody dies, you know.
Yes.
Fantastic. I think the worst thing I ever used actually was it was a really simple device. It was something just for reading memory cards from a camera.
Right.
Plug it into your computer,
Yeah,
reads a memory
useful
card.
thing, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Quite. It did several type of cards and was quite cheap. Nice device. I was using it and I started getting a very strong smell of TCP, which I thought was bizarre. I wondered if my girlfriend had spilled a bottle around somewhere or something. But I eventually discovered it was burning plastic, as the thing had got too hot and melted the whole plastic casing around
Gracious.
it. It was just sort of a horrifying lump that ruined my desk.
Yeah.
Amazingly, it still worked. It would
Oh, right,
actually
because I
read
mean, the
cards,
worrying
but,
thing was that you would lose all the pictures on your memory card or something.
No, in fact, the device would still read memory cards. I think I didn't leave it plugged in for too long after. That's a slight overheating problem, to say the least. But yeah, I think that's the most out-and-out dangerous thing I've ever encountered so far.
But this has obviously struck a chord with people, because you get a tremendous number of hits with all your... I mean, how many have you got on YouTube now? Because they all come via your website.
Millions. I think we're probably looking around... must be approaching 10 million now. I don't really keep up on the total views. I'm the fourth most subscribed comedian in the UK, I think. Or at least I was last time I looked last week. So fingers crossed that's still true.
But you're not making anything out of this.
Well, I do, actually.
Do you?
Yes.
Dare I ask?
Yeah. It's not a terrific amount of money, but it's enough to sort of pay the bills and keep going at the moment. What happens is if you are very popular, you can apply to YouTube for something they call partnership, where they will effectively split any advertising revenue from your videos, and obviously then put adverts in your videos, or that wouldn't work. So I did that. They turned me down a couple of times. Then suddenly it sort of all kicked in, and now it, due to the high volume of views and things I get, and the amount of advertiser click-through, as they call it, the money is substantial. You know, it's not as good as you'd get from even a fairly basic job. But by the time you've tied that in with other things you can do, it's surprisingly good.
Yeah, but I mean, they're very professional looking. I mean, because let's face it, a lot of stuff on YouTube, you know, looks as if it's been done on somebody's mobile phone, and it looks it's very difficult to even see what's going on.
Yes.
But I mean, you're very professional little clips, really. I mean, you do obviously edit them, and you've got all the gear to make them look that way.
Yes, I don't have any expensive equipment at all. My camcorder, I've got an old... in fact, a very old one that uses tapes that I use for sort of most things. I have a more modern memory card-based camcorder, but that was very cheap again, I mean, well under £100. And just a basic computer and software, really. If you're prepared to spend the time, you don't really need massive amounts of equipment. The trick is to try and get lighting fairly good.
Yes, yeah.
A trick I've never managed to succeed with, because I generally film things in the middle of my living room. But, if you've got fairly good lighting and the microphone's not bad, everything else falls into place, really.
Have you ever thought of exploiting it, but promoting this in a different way? I mean, for going on the road. You know, I can see you doing.
Yes.
I mean, it's a sort of, I could see a sort of a Tommy Cooper-like act emerging here, where you were sort of seriously demonstrating all this stuff, and it gradually sort of going wrong, which doesn't seem as if it's going to be too difficult to simulate.
Get people bringing in whatever they've got at home.
Yes,
Bring in your favourite
gadget.
Yes. I don't know if that would work. I wouldn't dare have any children in the audience, as when I'm ad-libbing, I often get quite foul-mouthed. Sort of. I edit that out usually, but I think that would be hard live. Don't know if there'd be an audience for that.
Oh, I don't know. There's an audience for almost anything these days.
That is true, yes.
But I suppose we really got to end this one really on. I mean, it's a good thing they do make this stuff, because how else would you make these entertaining little videos? And they are very entertaining. But I suppose we better sort of really warn people that there is a lot of this stuff around, isn't there, really? And I mean,
Yes.
on the internet, and I suppose on these cheap markets, pound shop type places, it must be
Absolutely.
an absolute, minefield of.
Yes.
I'm trying not to say the word. See, which end starts in C and ends in P, but it is let the buyer beware. If it's really dirt cheap, then the chances are.
Yes, if it looks too good to be true, it almost certainly is, as the old phrase goes. But it's absolutely true. If you're buying something from Poundland or a legitimate shop, it's not going to be dangerous by any stretch.
No,
it may not be very good and it may not work, but you'll be fine on that front. But do be wary if you're looking on eBay, see something you think, oh, that does the job of what I want, but far cheaper. Not only have you got the sort of slight possibility of small electrical fires, but the fact remains they're not going to be that good. A cheap camcorder that claims to be high definition, for instance, they never are really high definition. They have a small lens, don't take particularly good footage, and then blow it up through software. So everything looks grainy and blurry and awful. Just use your head, really, and do be careful, because these things do exist and people will try and sell them to you at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be careful about saying names here, but I mean, I do know sort of legitimate sellers of electronic goods who, for want of a better description, do produce some rather floral descriptions of some of their stuff, which is not quite untrue, but it can easily misleading you into thinking they are something that they're actually really not.
Absolutely. You get this a lot with technology, because I think the technology itself can perhaps move a bit faster than the advertising regulators sometimes. And the classic example of this is the internet speeds thing they had, the sort of a hoo-ha about recently, where they would say up to 16 megabit broadband.
The magic words are up to, and they're usually quite small, aren't they?
Yes, mine is up to 16, I get 4. I mean, you can't advertise that as 16, can you?
No,
it's a quarter of what you'd want, It's a difficult one. You need to have somebody who can sort of translate this stuff to you if you're not familiar with it, who isn't a salesman in the shop, preferably, which makes things very difficult.
Because you're talking about high definition. I mean, there's an absolute, minefield as well there, because people think they know what high definition TV is, but probably don't, and a lot of people. Not deliberately fooled by people into in major electrical retailers, but they can. I've stood. When I want to have a good seethe, I'll go down to, and I'm not going to mention the name, but the sort of companies I'm thinking of. Just go and hover around and listen to the salesman, and you think you want to rush up and say, for God's sake, that's not true. You're not. That's. People buy a high definition TV and then go home, plug it in, and think they're watching high definition television. Of course, they're not.
No, but it's HD ready or whatever.
It's HD ready, yes.
It can interpret the signal, but you don't actually see it in high definition.
You should go out and buy another box to actually watch the programmes.
Exactly, yes. I used to work on the technical counter of a large electronics shop, and it was, to a small extent, a bit of a battle between the salesman and then when people brought it back, because they'd been sometimes misled. But that, to be fair, selling things is such a difficult task. I spent, I think, like one day trying to sell things. I didn't sell anything.
You're too honest.
That is what I would like to believe. Possibly inept at selling as well. But it's very difficult. And plus, when you're getting hundreds of products in a day, and they're so similar a lot of the time, it's probably very hard to actually keep on top of it. And, all of them do something except product B, and you're showing somebody product B that you haven't had time to see, and you'll probably assume it does do it. I do have sympathy for it to an extent. But
and, of course, you get a lot of time wasters nowadays who come into the big retailers to have a look at all the goods and then go and buy it on the internet.
Absolutely, yes. There's an awful lot of that, Or they'll come in, they'll buy it, they'll try it, see if they like it or not, then bring it back to the shop and then buy it cheaper elsewhere. That's another one. Yes.
Dear. Well, that's a depressing note on which to end. But anyway, you've got lots more of your videos planned. I hope.
Yes, indeed.
You've
Yeah.
got there's a never-ending supply of stuff for you to work on.
Oh yes. Yep. It's not going to dry up anytime soon, I don't think.
So I suppose we better end by saying, how can people find you on the internet other than just going straight into YouTube? But you've got a website.
Yep, very easy. Just www.ashens.com. That's ashens.com.
Right. Okay. Well, I shall look forward to seeing a few more when I get home tonight. So, good luck to you, and thanks for the good work that you're doing. Actually,
Well, thank you very much.
who knows? You may well yet put the Chinese out of business, but I doubt it. Anyway, thanks for coming in.
Sorry, cheers.